This time we remove an enormous water tank that's leaking and in the way for the structural repairs, and we're finally getting closer to the end of all the industrial destruction, and that feels really good. Hello, it's so good to see you again. I'm Barbara, and together with Daniel I restore the historic sailing ship Flying Coney. And obviously we still have a long way to go before it is a beautiful sailing ship again. So we think about this restoration process in 3 steps. The first step is to remove everything that's unnecessary and repair all the things that are necessary. And that's what we are doing right now. We rip out all the broken parts so we can inspect the hull and see what needs to be done. We know the destruction phase of this project is the most tedious and boring part, but it's just what needs to be done now, so we have to power through. Next spring we'll haul out Flying Coney again and repair all the structural parts, like the broken frames, the rusty stringers and the not so watertight bulkheads. When all the structural repairs are done, we can finally continue with step 2, which is rebuilding the interior, and we can't wait for that one. The last step is to convert Flying Coney into a sailing ship again. We have to lower the aft deck and the wheelhouse, and of course she needs 2 proper masts and sails. And then we can finally sail the ocean together with you. But all that wouldn't be possible without the support of our Patreons. So a huge thank you to all of you. But enough dreaming. Before we can build up, we have to finish the destruction phase. So let's tackle one of the last remaining tasks: ripping out the huge water tank in the forecastle.
For the next shipyard time in the spring, we need to have access to the bulkhead here, and we need to have access to this corner here, and therefore this water tank is in the way. This water tank started leaking about a year ago, so it's not in good shape anymore, and it's a steel water tank. It's placed directly on the concrete. It's probably welded in place, so it's hard to remove, and the only way to remove it is to cut it into pieces. I picked the angle grinder for this task. I know there are many other options and I will talk about them a little bit later, but let's get started. It seems that the tank is only welded into place at a few spots. So I try to cut the welds with the angle grinder, and then we have the pipes here as a leverage. So then maybe we take a chain lift and try to pull it away, and hopefully it moves. I have two different cutting discs. The thinner ones are faster, but the problem with the thinner ones is if there is any tension in the steel, then they have a tendency to explode. So that's why I also use the thicker ones. They are much slower, but for cutting into the tricky bits, the thicker ones are more safe to use. I know there are also some diamond wheels for the angle grinder for cutting steel. They do last longer, but the cutting is slower, so I think buying normal cutting disc is the way to go if you have to use the angle grinder. The tank is free now. There's no weld that's holding it in place. I'm pretty tired. You probably noticed by the way I'm talking. So the next step for today is to get it moving. I have 3 multi-tools here to wedge it out. I've left the pipes up here in place, so that gives me a lever where I also can pull.
Woo! It's loose!
We finally got the tank moving, which is a great feeling, but it's already very dark and late in the day. So I think we come back tomorrow to cut it into pieces and to have a look what's behind there. We've already found one little thing, which is an ancient work glove. So if someone is missing it, please tell us. When it comes to tools, there is always a bigger tool and a better tool for the task, but I have the rule of thumb that I use what I have until I reach a point where I really miss another tool. This time was the first time where I really thought, okay, a sawzall would be really handy. So you might see a sawzall on this channel quite soon. And fun fact, we did found one of these welding torches. With this tool it would be also pretty easy to cut the tank into pieces, but I don't have the gas bottles and the regulators. since it is a very large tank, it does have 2 baffles to prohibit water from sweeping around here. And unfortunately, these baffles make it incredibly hard to cut the tank into pieces. But next step is to cut them out, and then it should be easy going. The destruction of this tank is really tough work, but now that the baffles are out, I hope it gets a little bit easier. And now seeing how corroded the tank is, it is really a big surprise that it holded water for so long. It's completely rusted through at some points. Probably the best tool for this task would be a nibbler, which is like a hydraulic stamp which cuts away into the steel because it's not dirty, it's quieter. But the downside of this professional tool is that it is about 4,000 to 5,000 euros for the steel thickness we do have here. It might be an option for the diesel tanks in the engine room if we find a company that would like to lend us some of these very nice tools. Of course, another option would be a plasma cutter, and they're not too expensive nowadays, but I still need to do a little more research on what plasma torch would be the best for our use case. And also we don't have a strong electricity on this jetty where we are. There is a 100-meter cable running to the next shore power here, so we can't use electric equipment that draws a lot of current. Quite some progress at cutting the tank into pieces. I'm pretty much exhausted at this point. So the next step is to cut the back wall, which is in this case fortunately corroded. So it's pretty easy to cut, pretty fast to cut, but we need to get the tank away from the bulkhead. I will try to manipulate it, I try to get it forward. If that doesn't work out, then we have to tilt it. So that are the next steps, and I can't wait for the tank to be gone. It's hard work, hard work. So the huge tank is gone now, and it feels really good to have this enormous task off the list before we can approach the next shipyard time. It was almost too much work for me and my little angle grinder, but now that the job is done, it feels good to have so much practice with the angle grinder, and you can't have enough practice with the angle grinder when you do have a large steel boat. But for the next time, the next tank, I will cut it away with a plasma torch or a nibbler or some other tool. As always, I do have a little bit mixed feeling. The bulkhead itself, it is in good shape, but where the bulkhead is mounted at the bottom, the old steel from warship times, it's corroded away, so we need to repair the bulkhead as well. The hull itself here is in great shape, but again, the steel frames from the warship times are eaten away where the concrete starts, so a lot of structural work needs to be done in the next shipyard time. When we bought this boat, we didn't really know what we were doing, and to be honest, it took quite a while to grow into this project and to learn how to approach things. But now look at me, my angle grinder skills are almost at Huckman levels, and I'm pretty confident we will learn all the other skills that are needed to rebuild this boat, to rebuild Flying Coney, to rebuild her as a sailing ship, like welding, like building up the interior, like woodworking. And to be honest, I'm not the biggest destruction guy. I'm much more a woodworker than a steel worker, and I'm really looking forward to the upcoming tasks, and I'm really glad when we're done with all the tearing apart stuff. I'm not sure how many people realize it, but this is a very small YouTube channel. We are about 1/3 of Project Brewpack. We are about 1/4 of Ship Happens. We are about 1/5 of Sailing Java. And this entire project, this huge, massive project, is entirely funded by my savings. Also, most of the time it's just Barbara and me working on the project, and there are just so many hours in a day where we can make progress on the boat. Everything needs to be filmed, the videos needed to be edited. That's also a lot of work you don't see. So please don't expect the same progress as you see on other channels. It's just, we do what we can to bring this boat back to life. And it's an incredible privilege to be able to share these videos and to share this project with our current viewers. So thank you for being here. Thanks for going this journey with us. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.